The massive Ravager command ship hovered silently above Earth's atmosphere, its dark hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Inside the observation deck, Commander Vex stood with his forearms clasped behind his back, studying the blue-green world below. His scaled skin shimmered under the dim red lights as he tapped one clawed finger against the viewing panel. "Another primitive world," he growled, yellow eyes narrowing. "Barely into their space age. No real defenses." Behind him, Lieutenant Krill approached with a data tablet. "Sir, the scans show something unusual. This planet has an abnormally high number of predator species." Vex turned, his interest piqued. The Ravagers had conquered 37 worlds in the last century alone. As apex predators themselves, they found most planets offered little resistance. Worlds typically evolved with just a handful of top predators, the natural order of things. "How many?" Vex asked. "Hundreds, sir, maybe thousands, and they occupy every habitat, water, land, air." Vex snorted. "Impossible. The ecosystem would collapse." "The data is clear, sir. This Earth somehow maintains a balance. And the dominant species, these humans, they've survived alongside these predators for their entire evolution." Vex studied the holographic images of Earth's creatures now floating before him. Bears with massive claws, wolves hunting in packs, big cats with perfect killing efficiency, sharks patrolling deep waters. Each adapted perfectly to its environment. Each a masterwork of evolutionary design. "Interesting," Vex said finally, "but ultimately irrelevant. Prepare the standard first-wave landing. Northern Hemisphere, away from major population centers, let's test their defenses." The Ravager dropships descended through heavy cloud cover, landing in a remote forest clearing surrounded by snow-capped mountains. The location, northern Canada, had been chosen for its sparse human population and distance from major military bases. 30 Ravager soldiers emerged from each of the 5 ships, their bodies covered in natural armor plates and their hands ending in retractable claws. Each carried energy weapons designed to subdue rather than kill. The Ravagers preferred to preserve native species for study and possible genetic harvesting. Lieutenant Krill led the ground force, surveying the quiet forest with disdain. "Establish the perimeter," he ordered. "Science team, begin collecting specimens." The soldiers spread out efficiently, setting up energy barriers and surveillance equipment. Several moved toward the tree line, weapons ready. The air was crisp and cold, their breath forming clouds in the chill morning. One soldier paused, lifting his head. "Lieutenant, I hear something." Krill turned just as a low growl emerged from the forest. Yellow eyes reflected the morning light between the trees. 1 pair, then 3, then a dozen. "Wolves." "The science," officer reported, checking his scanner. "Local pack predators, no real threat to our armor." The wolves emerged from the trees, moving with deliberate caution. They were larger than the Ravagers expected, their winter coats thick, muscles rippling beneath gray and white fur. The lead wolf, a massive alpha with a scar across his muzzle, bared its teeth. "Shoot the alpha," Krill ordered. "The rest will scatter." The nearest soldier raised his weapon and fired. The energy pulse should have stunned the wolf instantly. Instead, the alpha leapt aside with surprising speed, and the pack attacked as one. What happened next shocked the Ravager forces. The wolves didn't attack randomly or out of simple aggression. They coordinated. 2 wolves distracted a soldier while a third attacked from behind, going for the vulnerable joint at the back of the knee. Others seemed to deliberately target equipment rather than the heavily armored soldiers themselves. "Impossible," Krill hissed as he fired repeatedly at the surging gray forms. "These are just animals!" A soldier screamed as powerful jaws crushed through his armor. Another fell as 3 wolves dragged him to the ground. The Ravagers began to retreat toward their ships, firing wildly now. Then a new sound echoed through the clearing, a deep rumbling roar that made even the battle-hardened Ravagers pause. From the opposite tree line, an enormous grizzly bear emerged, standing nearly 10 feet tall on its hind legs. "Full retreat!" Krill shouted as the bear charged, moving with shocking speed for its massive size. Its claws, evolved to dig through frozen earth, tore through Ravager armor like it was paper. 200 miles south, in a military command center built into a mountain, Colonel James Wilson stared at the satellite feed with narrowed eyes. "Play that again," he ordered, leaning forward in his chair. The technician rewound the footage, showing strange craft descending into the Canadian wilderness. The thermal imaging clearly showed humanoid figures emerging, followed by what appeared to be a battle. "What am I looking at?" Wilson asked the room. "Russian? Chinese?" "No matching. Signatures in our database, sir," a young analyst replied, her voice steady despite the implication. "The craft don't match any known human design." Wilson had been in the military for 30 years. He'd seen combat across the globe, led special operations that would never appear in history books, but nothing had prepared him for this. "And they're retreating," he noted as the figures on screen rushed back to their vessels. "What drove them back? There's no human force out there." The analyst zoomed in on the thermal image. "Wildlife, sir. Wolves from the heat signatures, and that larger signature appears to be a grizzly bear." A stunned silence fell over the command center. Finally, the general standing behind Wilson spoke. "You're telling me an alien invasion force just got their asses kicked by a bunch of Canadian wildlife?" Before anyone could answer, the communication officer called out, "Sir, we're getting similar reports from Russia, Norway, and northern China. Unknown craft, brief landings, then rapid retreats." Wilson studied the footage again, watching as the bear tore through what appeared to be armored alien soldiers. He thought about what this meant. Visitors from another world, clearly hostile, clearly expecting easy conquest. "Get me the president," he said finally, "and contact every wildlife expert, game warden, and animal behaviorist on our payroll. I think we just found our first advantage." Back on the command ship, Commander Vex reviewed the disaster with cold fury. 1/5 of the landing force lost, valuable equipment abandoned, and a humiliating retreat, all because of primitive, non-sentient animals. "This planet is different," he said at last. "These humans, they've evolved alongside killers. They've survived on a world where death lurks in every shadow, every tree line, every depth of water." He turned to his officers. "We've always conquered through fear. We are the apex predators of the galaxy. But these humans..." He gestured to the screen showing Earth's countless predatory species. "They've been prey their entire existence. And yet they've survived. Thrived even." Vex's expression changed to one of determination. "Prepare a research team. We need to understand this world before we conquer it. What makes its beasts so fearless? How have these soft-skinned humans survived among such killers?" As the officers hurried to follow his orders, Vex turned back to the viewing panel, watching the blue world spin below. "You've surprised us, Earth," he said quietly, "but the Ravagers have conquered every world we've ever found. And we will conquer yours, beasts and all." A new alert sounded. "Sir," called the sensor officer, "we're detecting large-scale movement in Earth's oceans. All marine life is converging on our underwater deployment sites." Vex watched the tactical display as thousands of heat signatures, whales, sharks, and other marine predators surrounded and attacked his submarines and underwater bases. "This planet," he whispered, "it's not just the humans fighting us. It's the entire biosphere." For the first time in his long military career, Commander Vex felt fear, the primal instinctive fear of prey. This was no longer a simple conquest. This was survival, and Earth's combined forces were winning. "Order all ships to withdraw," he commanded. "Abort the bioweapon deployment. We need a new strategy." "Sir?" his second-in-command questioned. "Retreat?" "Not retreat," Vex corrected, his voice hardening. "Strategic withdrawal. If Earth wants to use its beasts against us, then we'll return with weapons designed specifically to destroy them. No more bioweapons. Next time, we burn this world clean." As the Ravager fleet disengaged from Earth orbit, celebrations broke out in command centers worldwide, but Colonel Wilson and Mara Green studied the sensor readings with concern. "They're not giving up," Wilson said quietly. They're regrouping. Mara removed her neural interface, exhaustion evident on her face. Next time they'll come prepared for our animal forces. Wilson nodded grimly. Then we'll need to be even more prepared. Project Menagerie needs to evolve, just like life on Earth always has. He looked at the global map showing the locations of deployed animal units, now blinking green to indicate successful defense. We've proven that Earth's predators can stand against the galaxy's self-proclaimed apex predators, he said. Now we need to show them we can hunt them across the stars if necessary. Mara raised an eyebrow. Are you suggesting what I think you are? Wilson smiled thinly. Why should humans be the only Earth species to go to space? It's time our besom. 6 months had passed since the first Ravager invasion attempt. The once experimental Alpha program had evolved into Project Menagerie, a global initiative that transformed military bases into training facilities for animal combat units. What had begun as a desperate gambit was now Earth's primary defense strategy. Colonel Wilson walked through the main compound of the North American headquarters, located in the Rocky Mountains. The facility sprawled across 5 square miles of wilderness, designed to accommodate the needs of hundreds of different species. Training fields, aquatic centers, and climate-controlled habitats dotted the landscape. Our latest numbers, sir, said Captain Reynolds, handing Wilson a tablet. As they walked, Wilson scanned the report. Over 15,000 mammals, 8,000 birds, 3,000 reptiles, and countless marine animals were now part of the program worldwide. Each trained for specific roles based on their natural abilities, each equipped with specialized gear to enhance their effectiveness against Ravager technology. And the neural interface progress? Wilson asked. Dr. Green can brief you better than I can, Reynolds replied. She's at the mammal division. They found Mara in a large open training area where 3 grizzly bears were practicing an attack formation. She stood behind a reinforced barrier, giving commands through a small device on her wrist. The bears moved with surprising precision, taking down target drones designed to mimic Ravager soldiers. Impressive, Wilson commented as he approached. These are the same bears we encountered in Canada. Mara nodded, her face showing both pride and concern. The very same. They're naturals. They already hated the Ravager scent. We just helped them focus that aggression. She tapped her tablet, and the bears returned to their handlers, each receiving treats and affection. The neural interface is working better than expected, she continued, answering Wilson's earlier question. We can't control the animals, we wouldn't want to, but we can share sensory information. I can see what they see, feel what they feel to a limited extent. She showed him a lightweight device that fit over her head. With this, I can process input from up to 10 animals simultaneously. It helps us coordinate their movements without forcing them to act against their instincts. Wilson nodded thoughtfully. And the wild animal reports? That's the most fascinating part, Mara said, her voice dropping. We've documented over 200 cases of untrained wildlife intervening in Ravager encounters. It's as if they sense something fundamentally wrong about the aliens, something that threatens the entire ecosystem. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent alarm. Wilson's radio crackled to life. All command personnel, report to Ops Center immediately. Ravager fleet detected approaching Earth orbit. The operations center buzzed with activity as officers and scientists monitored screens showing the incoming alien fleet. This force dwarfed the previous invasion, hundreds of ships in tight formation. General Hayes, now the Supreme Commander of Earth Defense, addressed the gathered leaders. Our orbital sensors detect unusual devices attached to their main vessels. Analysis suggests these are biological weapon dispersal systems designed to release agents into our atmosphere. How much time do we have? Wilson asked. They'll be in position within 12 hours. Mara stepped forward. Our intelligence from captured Ravagers indicates their bioweapons target neural systems, found in all higher Earth life forms. They plan to kill everything more complex than bacteria, then reseed the planet with their own engineered life. And our countermeasures? Asked the Russian commander. Project Menagerie is ready, Wilson stated firmly. All trained units are deployed globally, with heaviest concentrations near likely landing zones. Naval teams are patrolling coastal areas, with Dolphin and Orca units. Aerial defense includes Eagles, Falcons, and other Raptors equipped with targeting systems. He turned to Mara. It's time for the special units. She nodded grimly. The Apex Predator teams are prepped and waiting. But, she hesitated. Once we deploy them with full neural connectivity, we may not be able to recall them. They'll act according to their nature. Nature is exactly what we're fighting for, Wilson replied. Release them all. Commander Vex surveyed Earth from his flagship's command center. The blue planet looked peaceful from orbit, giving no hint of the resistance that had twice repelled his forces. Bioweapon dispersal systems ready, Commander, reported his weapons officer. We've targeted the major population centers first, followed by wildlife concentrations. Vex nodded. Begin landing operations. Secure the dispersal sites. Ravager, ships descended toward Earth in waves. Unlike previous attacks, they didn't target military bases. Those had proven too well defended. Instead, they landed in remote areas, quickly establishing perimeters around the bioweapon deployment sites. What they didn't expect was that these remote areas, forests, mountains, deserts, swamps, were no longer undefended. They were the domains of Earth's most efficient hunters. Deep in the Siberian wilderness, the first Ravager landing party established their position around a massive dispersal device. The alien soldiers moved efficiently, setting up force fields and scanning the surrounding forest. Lieutenant Grek, leading the operation, checked the bioweapon status. Dispersal sequence initiated, 30 minutes to atmosphere release. A strange sound, halfway between a chirp and a growl, made him look up. At the edge of the clearing stood a massive Siberian tiger, its orange and black coat bright against the snow. But unlike a normal tiger, this one wore a sleek device around its neck and small attachments on its head. "Kill it," Grek ordered, casually. Energy weapons fired, but the tiger moved with impossible speed, as if it knew exactly where the shots would land before they were fired. More concerning, it headed directly for the bioweapon, ignoring the soldiers. "Protect the device," Grek shouted. Suddenly, more animals emerged from the forest, wolves, wolverines, even a massive brown bear. They attacked with coordinated precision, targeting power systems and communication equipment. Grek activated his emergency channel. "Command, we're under attack. The animals, they know exactly what to target." In a monitoring station hundreds of miles away, Mara sat with her neural interface active, eyes closed in concentration. Through the shared consciousness link, she guided the Siberian team, highlighting critical targets and helping the animals avoid enemy fire. Similar scenes played out across the globe. In the African savanna, lions and hyenas, natural enemies, worked together against Ravager landing parties. In the Amazon, jaguars destroyed bioweapon controls with surgical precision. Off the coast of Japan, orcas and dolphins attacked underwater deployment sites. What made this defense different from previous encounters was the neural interface. Human intelligence combined with animal instinct and physical capability, creating a hybrid fighting force unlike anything the Ravagers had ever faced. On his flagship, Commander Vex watched in horror as reports flooded in of bioweapon sites being compromised. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "These are just beasts." His science officer studied the incoming data. "Sir, we're detecting unusual neural activity in the attacking animals. Some kind of technological enhancement. They appear to be sharing consciousness with the humans." Vex slammed his fist down. "Impossible. No species could develop such technology so quickly. The evidence suggests they have adapted our own neural scanning technology, captured during the first invasion," the science officer replied. "These humans are remarkably innovative." The sky burned red over London as Ravager ships descended through the clouds. Similar scenes played out across the globe. Moscow, Beijing, Washington, and dozens of other major cities faced simultaneous attacks. 6 weeks had passed since the discovery of the research base in the Amazon, and the Ravagers had returned in force. Commander Vex stood on the bridge of his massive flagship, watching tactical displays of Earth's military responses. Human jets scrambled to intercept his ships. Missiles launched from ground batteries, but their weapons barely damaged the Ravager shields. "Pathetic," he muttered. "Their technology is centuries behind ours." His second-in-command approached, cautiously. "Sir, ground teams report unusual resistance patterns. The humans are not fighting conventionally." Vex turned, yellow eyes narrowing. "Explain." "They're using animals in combat roles, sir. Trained dogs detecting our stealth units. Birds of prey disrupting our communication drones. Even large predators in direct assault roles." Vex hissed in surprise. "How quickly they adapt. They've weaponized their ecosystem against us." "Should we adjust tactics?" "No," Vex decided after a moment. "Continue as planned. Their primitive beasts cannot stand against our technology. This is merely a desperate gambit." But as reports continued to stream in from ground forces, Vex's confidence began to waver. Colonel Wilson crouched behind the remains of a destroyed tank on the outskirts of Denver. Beside him, a massive gray wolf stood perfectly still, ears forward, listening. The animal, named Ghost, was one of the first recruits of what the military now called the Alpha program. "What is it, boy?" Wilson whispered. Ghost's ears twitched and he turned his head slightly to the east. Wilson tapped his tactical radio. "Team Bravo, stealth units approaching from your eastern flank. Ghost says at least 5. "Roger that," came the response, releasing the hawks. Seconds later, 3 trained hawks soared over the battlefield. Unlike normal birds, these hawks had been specifically trained to detect the slight distortions caused by Ravager cloaking technology. They dove, talons extended, targeting invisible enemies. Alien screams confirmed direct hits as the hawks' attacks disrupted the stealth fields, revealing 5 Ravager soldiers. Team Bravo opened fire immediately, taking down 3 before the others could react. Wilson smiled grimly. The hawks couldn't kill the heavily armored aliens, but they didn't need to. They just needed to reveal them. His radio crackled again. "Colonel, command reports Ravagers have broken through in Siberia. They're requesting Eagle Team." Wilson nodded. "Tell Mara to deploy the Siberian units. It's time to see what her team has accomplished." 3 hours later, Mara Green stood at the edge of a snow-covered forest in eastern Siberia. The temperature was well below freezing, but the Ravager assault troops didn't seem bothered by the cold as they advanced toward a critical human communications hub. Behind her, cages containing some of Siberia's most feared predators waited in transport vehicles: tigers, wolves, and wolverines, all specially trained over the past weeks. "Are you sure about this?" asked the Russian commander beside her. "These animals, they are still wild at heart." "That's exactly what we're counting on," Mara replied, checking the data on her tablet. "The Ravagers evolved without natural predators. They have no instinctive fear response. But we've discovered they emit specific pheromones when wounded or stressed." She pointed to the small devices attached to each animal's collar. "These amplify those chemical signals. The animals will target any source of that scent. And we've added infrared sensors that help them see through the Ravager cloaking technology." The Russian commander still looked doubtful. "And they will not attack our own people?" "The collars also emit a protective signal. It's not perfect, but in testing, the animals ignored anyone wearing the corresponding chips." She tapped the small device pinned to her jacket. "All your people have them?" He nodded. "Then it's time." Mara raised her radio. "Release the tigers, first followed by wolves in 2 minutes. Wolverines as backup only." The cage doors opened and 5 massive Siberian tigers bounded into the snow, moving silently despite their size. They paused briefly, testing the air, then moved with deadly purpose toward the advancing alien line. What followed shocked even Mara, who had designed the program. The tigers seemed to instinctively understand the Ravagers as enemies. They didn't attack blindly but used the terrain for cover, circling to find weak points in the alien formation. The Ravagers, facing tigers for the first time, broke ranks in confusion. Their energy weapons scored hits, But the tigers were too fast, too unpredictable. And then the wolves arrived, attacking in coordinated packs, focusing on isolated targets. "It's working," Mara whispered, watching through binoculars. "They're actually driving them back." Her radio buzzed. "Dr. Green," came Colonel Wilson's voice. "How's the Siberian front?" "Better than we hoped," she replied, unable to keep the excitement from her voice. "The animals aren't just fighting, they're hunting them. The Ravagers don't seem to know how to respond to predators that don't follow standard military tactics." "Same reports worldwide," Wilson said. "The Ravagers are falling back where we've deployed animal units, but we're still losing in conventional battle zones." A tremendous roar echoed across the snowy battlefield as a tiger brought down a Ravager officer. The alien troops began a disorganized retreat toward their ships. "We need to expand the program," Mara said decisively. "Different animals for different environments. Marine mammals for naval battles, birds for air support." "Already in progress," Wilson confirmed. "But Mara, there's something else. Reports are coming in that wild animals, completely untrained ones, are joining the fights in some areas. It's like they recognize the aliens as a threat to the entire planet." Mara watched as a pack of wild wolves emerged from the trees, joining the trained ones in pursuit of the retreating aliens. "I believe it," she said softly. "Earth is fighting back with all its children." Back on his flagship, Commander Vex reviewed the battle footage with growing rage and disbelief. His forces were in retreat on multiple fronts, not because of HFY, superior human technology or tactics, but because of animals, mere beasts. "This is unprecedented," his science officer stated. "The humans have formed some kind of alliance with their world's predators. Even species that normally compete with each other are working together against our forces." Vex slammed his fist on the console. "It's an insult. The galaxy's apex predators driven back by primitive life forms." "Sir," his second-in-command ventured cautiously, "perhaps we should reconsider our approach. This planet's biosphere is unlike any we've encountered. Perhaps instead of conquest—" "No," Vex roared. "I will not be defeated by animals. Prepare the biological weapons. If Earth wants to use its beasts against us, then we will eliminate all complex life on the planet. We'll start fresh with the microbes." The bridge fell silent. The deployment of planet-killing bioweapons was reserved for only the most extreme circumstances. It would mean the death of every animal on Earth, and the humans as well. "Sir," the science officer finally spoke, "our analysis suggests Earth's creatures adapt quickly. If even a few survive our bioweapons, then we'll make sure none survive," Vex said coldly. "Order all ships to withdraw to orbital positions. Begin preparing the dispersal systems." As the Ravager ships retreated from Earth's atmosphere, humans celebrated what seemed like a victory, but Colonel Wilson, receiving intelligence from captured Ravager communication devices, knew the truth. "They're not giving up," he told the assembled military leaders at the Emergency United Nations session. "They're planning something much worse. We have days, maybe hours, before they release biological agents designed to kill every animal on Earth, including us." "What can we do against such weapons?" the French general asked. Wilson looked to Mara, who stood clutching her tablet with white knuckles. "We release everything," she said quietly. "Everything?" Wilson asked. She nodded. "Every animal in the program, every predator we've trained. Give them all the targeting data we have and send them out with one mission: defend their territories. All of Earth is their territory now." The room erupted in debate, but Wilson's voice cut through the chaos. "We've tried fighting like humans and we're losing. Maybe it's time to fight like animals, with tooth and claw, defending our home at all costs." He turned to the President of the United States. "Ma'am, I recommend immediate implementation of Operation Menagerie. Release all assets." The President looked around the room at the representatives of Earth's nations, then back to Wilson. "Do it." As night fell across the globe, cages were opened, collars were activated, and Earth's mightiest predators moved purposefully toward the sky, ready to meet the threat from above. Galactic predators feared nothing until Earth unleashed its beasts. Part 5. Apex Predators. The massive Ravager Armada darkened Earth's skies as they returned for their final assault. 3 months had passed since their last retreat, and Commander Vex had called upon every ship, every soldier in the Ravager Empire. This would be all-out war. No more research, no more cautious probing of defenses. This time, they would scorch the planet clean. "Deploy the thermal weapons," Vex ordered from his command throne. "Target their largest cities first." Across his flagship's bridge, officers moved with practiced efficiency. On the main view screen, Earth rotated slowly, its blue oceans and green continents soon to be replaced by fire and ash. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, detecting unusual energy signatures from Earth's orbit. Vex frowned. "What kind of energy?" "Unknown, sir, but they're moving fast." The tactical display suddenly lit up with hundreds of small objects, rising from Earth's surface, accelerating toward the Ravager fleet. "Missiles?" Vex asked. The science officer studied the readings, his scaled face showing confusion. "No explosive signatures. They appear to be transport pods, but the life signs inside, they're not human." Colonel Wilson stood in Earth's new unified command center, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around him, military leaders from across the globe monitored the situation as it unfolded in space. Beside him, Mara Green operated her advanced neural interface system, her face tense with concentration. "First wave deployed," reported the launch controller. "All pods showing green status." Wilson nodded. "How are they doing, Mara?" She took a deep breath. Her mind connected to hundreds of animal partners now racing toward the alien fleet. "They're adapting to zero gravity exactly as we hoped. The neural augmentations are working perfectly." On the main screen, they watched as the first wave of pods, each containing Earth's most efficient predators equipped with specialized space armor, approached the Ravager ships. Tigers, bears, wolves, and lions, all enhanced with neural implants and tactical armor, their natural hunting instincts now directed at a common enemy. "Who would have thought," Wilson mused, "that Earth's first space marines would have 4 legs?" General Hayes approached, his face grim. "The Ravagers are deploying weapons platforms. Our animal teams need to take those out first." "Already on it," Mara replied, eyes still closed as she coordinated the attack through her neural link. "The wolves have located the primary weapons controls." Aboard the Ravager destroyer Inevitable Conquest, the crew stared in disbelief as proximity alarms sounded. Small objects attached themselves to the hull, cutting through the metal with surprising speed. "Hull breach in sections 3 through 7, shouted the security officer. "Something is boarding us." The ship's internal cameras showed a nightmarish scene, armored Earth predators moving through the corridors with deadly purpose. A pack of wolves worked together to disable security systems, while massive bears tore through doors and barricades with contemptuous ease. Most terrifying was their coordination. These weren't mindless beasts, they moved with tactical precision, targeting critical systems and avoiding traps. When Ravager soldiers confronted them with energy weapons, the animals seemed to anticipate the attacks, dodging with impossible speed. "What kind of demons has Earth sent against us?" whispered the ship's captain as he watched a tiger systematically destroy the weapon control center. On Earth, Mara guided her animal partners through the alien vessels. The neural interface allowed her to share their experiences, the taste of fear in the air, the sound of alien heartbeats, the satisfaction of the hunt. "The primary weapons ships are disabled," she reported, opening her eyes briefly. "Moving to command vessels now." Wilson watched as reports came in from across the Ravager fleet, ship after ship reporting critical system failures, crews in panic, weapons offline. Earth's conventional forces weren't idle either. Human pilots and advanced fighters engaged, smaller Ravager vessels, while ground-based ion cannons, reverse-engineered from captured alien technology, fired at larger targets. But the true damage was being done from within by Earth's 4-legged warriors. "Commander Vex's flagship identified," announced the intelligence officer. It's the massive vessel at the center of their formation. Wilson leaned forward. That's our primary target. Mara, can your team reach it? She nodded, sweat beading on her forehead from the mental strain of coordinating hundreds of neural links. The special unit is already en route. Commander Vex stared at the tactical display, in growing horror. His mighty armada, the unstoppable force that had conquered 17 solar systems, was being torn apart from within by Earth's beasts. How is this possible? He demanded. How are they coordinating these attacks? The science officer, analyzing captured footage, pointed to the devices attached to the animals' heads. Some kind of neural technology, sir. The humans appear to be sharing consciousness with their predators, guiding them while allowing them to use their natural hunting abilities. Vex's yellow eyes narrowed. Can we block the signal? We're trying, sir, but it appears to be using quantum entanglement principles. There's no signal to block. A tremendous impact shook the flagship, causing alarms to blare across the bridge. We've been boarded, reported the security chief. Multiple breaches. Security teams are engaging, but, sir, these creatures are unlike any we've encountered before. Vex snarled in frustration. Show me. The main screen switched to internal cameras, showing a nightmare advancing through his ship. A team of Earth's most efficient killers, a Siberian, tiger, 2 wolves, and a massive grizzly bear, moved through the corridors toward the bridge. Most disturbing was the look in their eyes, not mindless rage, but intelligent purpose. Seal the bridge, Vex ordered. Prepare for... The doors exploded inward as the bear smashed through, sending twisted metal flying across the command center. Behind it came the other predators, their armored forms bristling with advanced technology that enhanced their natural weapons. As his officers fired desperately at the invaders, Vex realized a terrible truth. His species had evolved as apex predators, but they had never truly been tested. They had conquered worlds with limited ecosystems where competition was minimal, but Earth, with its millions of years of ruthless evolutionary arms races, its countless predator species constantly adapting and improving, had created the true apex hunters of the galaxy. And now, guided by human intelligence, they had become unstoppable. In the command center on Earth, Mara suddenly gasped, her eyes flying open. They've reached Commander Vex, she said. The neural link is showing me something important. The Ravagers are broadcasting a signal throughout their fleet. Wilson leaned closer. What kind of signal? It's a surrender code, she said in disbelief. The Tiger has Vex cornered. He's activating emergency protocols. Across the command center, cheers began to erupt as confirmation came in from multiple sources. The Ravager fleet was standing down, weapons powering off, engines going idle. We did it, Wilson breathed. Earth's defenders prevailed. On the main screen, satellite imagery showed Ravager ships across Earth's orbit entering passive states. The invasion was over. 3 weeks later, Colonel Wilson stood before the United Nations General Assembly, delivering his report on what was now being called the Beast War. The Ravager Empire has formally acknowledged Earth as a sovereign world beyond their authority, he announced to thunderous applause. Furthermore, they have agreed to reparations and technology transfers as part of the peace settlement. He paused, looking across the gathered representatives. But perhaps most significantly, word of Earth's unique defense strategy has spread throughout the galaxy. 3 other civilizations have already reached out to establish diplomatic relations, expressing particular interest in our companions, as they call them. Mara Green, seated in the front row with Ghost the Wolf by her side, smiled as Wilson continued. Project Menagerie is being expanded into a permanent branch of Earth's unified defense forces. Our animal partners will take their place alongside human soldiers, not as weapons but as fellow defenders of our world. And as we begin our journey into the wider galaxy, they will join us among the stars. In the months that followed, humanity's reputation spread across known space. They became known as the Beast Handlers, the species that had united with their world's predators to defeat the mighty Ravager Empire. Alien delegations arriving on Earth were startled and impressed by the sight of humans working alongside creatures that, on any other world, would be mortal enemies. Commander Vex, now serving as the Ravager ambassador to Earth as part of the peace treaty, watched with grudging respect as humans and animals trained together in the expanded Project Menagerie facilities. "I still don't understand," he admitted to Mara during an official tour. "How did you form this bond with creatures that should, by all evolutionary logic, be your competitors?" Mara smiled as she scratched behind the ears of a wolf that had once helped corner Vex on his own bridge. "That's what makes Earth special. We didn't always live in harmony. For most of our history, we competed and fought. But we learned that cooperation is stronger than competition. By recognizing the value in our differences, we became something greater together." She looked up at the stars becoming visible in the evening sky. And now, the humid air of the Amazon rainforest clung to Mara Green's skin as she pushed through the dense undergrowth. 6 years as a wildlife biologist in this region had taught her to read the forest's signs, and something was very wrong. The animals were behaving strangely. Predators breaking established territorial patterns, prey species gathering in unusual groupings. "Anything on the camera traps, Tom?" she called to her research assistant, who was downloading data from their equipment. Nearby, Tom shook his head, wiping sweat from his brow. "Nothing that explains it, but the jaguars have all moved to the eastern sector. All of them. I've never seen that before." Mara frowned, making notes in her waterproof journal. Jaguars were solitary, hunters, fiercely territorial. For all of them to abandon their territories and move in the same direction was unprecedented. "And look at this," Tom added, showing her the screen of his tablet. "Cayman counts at the riverbend are down by 80%. Mara was about to respond when a distant sound caught her attention, a low mechanical hum that didn't belong in the forest. It wasn't a boat motor or a helicopter. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. Before Tom could answer, a colorful poison dart frog landed on a leaf beside them, then another, and another. Dozens of the tiny amphibians were hopping, in the same direction, away from something. "Follow them," Mara decided. "Something's driving them this way." 10 miles east, hidden beneath a sophisticated camouflage field, the Ravager research base hummed with activity. The dome-shaped structure had been established 3 weeks ago, after the disastrous first contact attempt. Inside, chief biologist, Drac moved between transparent containment units housing various Earth creatures, insects, small mammals, reptiles. "Fascinating adaptations," he muttered, examining a spider under a molecular scanner. "Venom delivery systems more advanced than anything in our database." Commander Vex's holographic image appeared on the communication platform. "Progress report, Biologist Drac. What have you learned about these Earth predators?" Drac straightened his hunched frame. "Commander, this planet is extraordinary. These creatures have been locked in an evolutionary arms race for millions of years. The predator-prey relationships are incredibly complex." "I don't need a biology lesson," Vex growled. "I need tactical information. Why were our forces driven back by mere animals?" "It's not just their physical capabilities, though those are impressive," Drac explained, pulling up holographic images of various Earth predators. "It's their behavior. These creatures show problem-solving abilities far beyond what we've seen on other worlds. They adapt quickly, learn from experiences." He displayed footage from the Canadian encounter. "See how the wolves coordinated their attack? That's not simple pack behavior. They identified weaknesses in our armor and equipment." Almost immediately, Vex's expression darkened. "And the humans? What have you learned about them?" "That's the most troubling part," Drac said, bringing up human DNA sequences. "They're not particularly strong or fast, no natural weapons, but they've survived and thrived on this death world. They've evolved alongside these predators, competed with them, and somehow risen to dominance without losing their prey instincts." A loud alarm suddenly blared through the research base. One of Drac's assistants rushed over. "Security breach in Sector 4. The containment field for the jaguar specimen has failed." Drac's eyes widened. Impossible. Lock down the... Thunderous roar cut him off as the black-spotted cat launched itself across the laboratory, knocking over equipment and sending researchers scrambling. Its powerful jaws clamped onto a Ravager soldier's arm, crushing through the protective armor. "Shoot it!" someone yelled. Energy weapons fired, but the Jaguar moved with astonishing speed, seeming to anticipate each shot. It wasn't attacking. Randomly, it was targeting the power systems, the communication equipment, and the containment controls. As if on cue, alarms rang out from other sectors. Outside the base perimeter, sensors detected multiple approaching life forms. "We're under attack," Drac realized with shock. "By the local wildlife." Colonel Wilson studied the satellite imagery with growing interest. The classified briefing room at Pentagon was filled with an unusual mix of personnel, military officers, scientists, and 5 of the world's leading wildlife experts. "The thermal signatures are concentrated here," he said, pointing to a section of the Amazon rainforest. "Whatever these aliens are doing, they've disrupted the entire ecosystem. Animals are fleeing the area or, more interestingly, moving toward it." Dr. Robert Miller, a renowned expert on predator behavior, leaned forward. "These patterns are remarkable. It's as if the predator species in particular are responding to the alien presence as a territorial threat." "Can we use that?" Wilson asked bluntly. The scientists exchanged glances. Finally, Dr. Miller nodded. "Possibly. Animals perceive the world differently than we do. They might sense vulnerabilities in these aliens that we can't see or smell." General Hayes, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "Are you suggesting we use wild animals as weapons, Colonel?" "I'm suggesting we consider every possible advantage," Wilson replied. "These aliens outmatch us technologically, but they seem unprepared for Earth's biological diversity. We need to form a special response team, military personnel with wilderness and wildlife experience, working alongside animal behavior experts." He brought up a new screen showing footage from various zoos, wildlife preserves, and military working dog programs. "We already train animals for specific tasks. Dogs detect explosives and track targets. Birds are used for search and rescue. What if we expanded those programs with an eye toward defense?" The room fell silent as the implications sank in. It was unprecedented, possibly desperate, but the alien threat demanded creative solutions. "I want boots on the ground near that Amazon hotspot within 48 hours, Wilson ordered. "Small team, quiet insertion. Let's find out what our visitors are up to." Mara and Tom crouched in the dense underbrush, barely breathing. Before them stood what could only be an alien structure, a dome of shifting colors that almost, but not quite, blended with the surrounding jungle. "This explains everything," Mara whispered. "The animal behavior changes, the unusual migrations." They watched as creatures from the forest, jaguars, caimans, even massive anacondas, surrounded the structure, probing its defenses. It wasn't coordinated like a human military operation, but neither was it random. The animals seemed drawn to specific points, testing for weaknesses. A section of the dome suddenly shimmered and revealed an opening. 3 tall reptilian figures emerged, firing energy weapons at the surrounding wildlife. Most animals scattered, but a jaguar dodged the shots with supernatural grace and pounced on one of the aliens, dragging it back into the jungle. "Did you see that?" Tom gasped. "The jaguar targeted the one carrying the communication device." Before Mara could respond, her satellite phone vibrated silently. The text message was brief. "Stay in position. U.S. Special Forces inbound. Do not approach structure." "Someone knows we're here," she whispered to Tom. "And they know about them too." Inside the alien facility, biologist Drac frantically composed an emergency transmission to the orbiting fleet. His hands shook as he worked, the controls, glancing nervously at the perimeter alarms that continued to sound. "This is Research Base Alpha with critical findings," he began. "Earth's biological weapons potential is unprecedented. The humans do not simply live alongside these predators, they have evolved with them, understand them in ways we cannot." He attached data files showing the coordinated attacks on their base. the intelligent targeting of critical systems by mere animals. As he prepared to send, a final thought occurred to him. "Commander Vex," he added, "we have underestimated this world severely. These humans are not simply another conquest, they are survivors of the most competitive ecosystem we have ever encountered. And if they can harness their world's predators against us..." A massive python dropped from an overhead vent, wrapping around Drac before he could finish the transmission. As he struggled, his claw hit the send button. In orbit, Commander Vex received the incomplete message and made his decision. This would no longer be a standard conquest. Earth would require the full might of the Ravager Armada.